Hello everyone. This is part 69 of our playlist Full Stack Python. So this is a training course. This is a training course. This is not just a video. This is a training course. In this training course, we are learning theory in depth as well as we are learning programming in depth. Okay. So this is what? This is a training course. This is a training course. It is not like a just a single video for full stack development. Okay. So this is not just a video. This is a training course. Okay. So in this video, we are going to learn about instance variables or object level variables. So what are the instance variable? Okay, so see, instance variable define the property of objects. So what are the properties of object? For example, see here, all of you just see here. For example, here we have a class. Okay, for example, this class name is student. Okay, student, and student may have roll number. Okay, roll number. Okay, name, okay, and subjects. So these are known as property of what? Property of the student. Okay, and there have some behavior of the student. So what are the behavior of the student? If we talk about behavior of the student, so behavior is like student can write the exam. Okay, a student can submit the fees. Okay, and a student, like whatever student can do, this is the behavior of what? This is known as behavior of what? Student. Correct. So this property and this property is known as instance instance variables. Okay, this property is known as instance variable or object level variable. And this behavior, like methods, what are the functionality student can do? This is known as instance what? Instance methods or instance behavior of the student class. What is the class name? Student. What is the variables? Known as property, or we can say instance variable. Instance variable means the variables belongs to object. Instance behavior, or we can say instant method. Instant method is also known as like object level methods, or the methods which belongs to the objects, right? Okay, instance okay, inside the class instance variables are bind with self. Okay, if you are saying this is instance property, okay, instance variable, and this is instance method, so this property and this methods bind with self keyword. There is a self keyword. Okay, self keyword, or we pass self as a parameter. Whenever we will write instance method, we will give self parameter. We will give parameter in order to make that function instance method. Okay, hope you are getting, and we will do the example so that you can easily understand. Don't worry about it. Okay, or any variable inside the class bind with self. Whatever the variable and what are the methods bind with self is called instance variable, or we can say object level variable. If it is a method which is bind with self, known as instance method, or we can say object level method. Hope you are getting now. Instance variables are created and accessed only inside instance method. Okay, so see, for example, just see here. Okay, for example, this is a class. What is the class name? Let's say class name is student class. This is a student class. Okay, and a student class containing roll number, okay, and roll number and name. This is the instance variables, or we can say property of the class. And it has a method is what? Write exam. Write exam. Okay, so here whenever we will write this method, instant method, we will write self parameter. Okay, self parameter. Okay, so try to understand everyone. Okay, so what we are saying, whatever the variables are there, if it is bind with self keyword, so that variables can access within the class only. Within the class, like this method can access this roll number and name. For example, if I create method here like exam method, only exam method, so this method cannot access this variables. This method cannot access this variables. Only the methods which is within the class can access property, or we can say variables of the class. I hope you are getting now. Whatever the variables are there inside the class, only class, whatever methods inside the class can access. Okay, see this. instance variables are object level variables, and these are created inside object. Okay, instance level variables are created where? Inside the class, or variable belongs to object are instance variables. Whatever the variables belongs to the object is known as instance variable. Correct? This is the easy definition. You can easily remember this definition. When we do the program, when we write the program, you can easily relate that program with this definition. Okay, so that's why I'm covering definition first. Later we will see example also. Inside the class, instance variables bind with self. Inside the class, instance variable bind with self. Outside the class binds with object name. Inside the class, variables binds with what? Self. And outside the class binds with object name. Correct? We will see how. These variables cannot be accessed without creating object. Outside the class, if you want to access the class variables, class property, so first you will need to create the object for that class. Then only you can access. If you will not create the object of that class, for example, student class, okay, so you cannot access the roll number, you cannot access the name of the student. Correct? So that's why instantiation is important. Instantiation means creating the object for the class. Okay, example, creating and accessing instance variables without the class. Without the class. See, here we have class student and we are writing pass. Pass means if you are not writing anything inside the class, so you can simply say pass. Pass means there is nothing, just pass it. Okay, so we are creating an object. What's the object name? Student1. What's the class name? Student. So creating object of student class. This is how we can create the object of student class. See, okay, let me open ideally, ideally, ideally nothing but integrated development learning environment. Okay, integrated development learning environment. Okay, we will write code here also. Okay, we will take a new file. Okay, each program in Python known as module. Each program in Python known as module. Okay, first I will save the program. Let's say this file name is main55.py. Right. So this is a Python file, or we can say Python module. Okay. So what we will do here, first we will create the class. Okay, class name, let's say student. Okay. And if you want to write roll number, then you can write. If you don't want to write any property, any behavior of the class, just you can say pass. Okay, now we will create the object of the class. So how we can create the object of the class? First we will write class name. Okay, whenever you will write class name, observe one thing. Whenever you will write the class name, always first letter of the class name should be capital. Okay, it is user defined name, but it is a good practice if you start class name with capital letters. Correct. So in order to create the object of the class, first write the class name student, then apply parenthesis. Okay, so your object is initiated, object is created. Okay, so what will happen now? We will store this object inside what? A variable like student1 equals to. So object is created and that object referred by student1. Okay, so this is how we can create the object. Okay, so if you want to create the variables inside the class, or we can say if you want to define the property inside the class, so with the help of object of the class we can do so. Like for example, student one dot name. Name is not there, but it will create name property, it will create. And we are put, okay, for example, we are writing here roll number. So roll number it will create. For example, roll number is 101 and the student one name is like nk. Correct. And then what we will write, we can display what? Student one dot name. Okay, comma, or we can say in second line we can say print student one dot roll number. Okay, roll number. Correct. So if I run this code, so what will happen? Okay, run the module. So it is printing what? It is printing nk. It is printing nk and it is printing name. It is printing what? What is the roll number? 101. What is the name? Nk. The roll number is 101 and the name is nk. Okay, correct. So this is how you can access the property of the class with the help of object. With the help of object. Suppose if you will not create the object. Suppose if you will not create the object, like if you will not write this line, so what will happen? Error will come. This time error will come. So error is coming. Why? Name error. Student one is not defined. So what we will do? First, we will create student one as an object. We will write its class name. So this is how student one is created. If I run this code again, so what will happen? Now it is printing NK and roll number. Correct? Okay. Okay. Suppose if I create student two, this is student one and this student two. We can give any name. Object name. We can give any object name. Okay. We can give any object name like Ramu. Ramu is a student. Ramu is a. Okay. So we will create Ramu as an object. So we will write here class name. What's the class name? Student is the class name. So we can say Ramu is the object of which class? Student class. Ramu is the object of student class. Now Ramu can access the roll number. Okay, or we can also write here roll number. Okay, roll number equals to 0. We will write here just a roll number and name. Okay, so what will happen? Ramu can access roll number and Ramu can access class name. Okay, why? Because Ramu is what? Object of which class? Student class. What's the class name? Student. So how Ramu will access? We will write here Ramu dot roll number. Okay, and we will write Ramu roll number is like 106 and Ramu dot name and Ramu name is Ramu itself. Okay, so if we print here, so we will print name. Okay, f string we will use. We can use f string or directly. So here I will write name and data we will print here like this. How we will print? We will write here Ramu dot name. Okay, because we want to access this name na, and this name in student class. And what is the object of student class? Ramu is the object of what class? Student class. So that's why we will write here Ramu dot name in order to access this name. And then what we will do? The second line we will say name, roll number. Okay, we will say roll number. Ramu dot roll number. Ramu dot roll number. So if I run this code, okay, roll number is not defined. Okay, Ramu, why roll number is not defined? So error is coming because whenever we write the variables inside the class, it should be bind with self keyword, but it is not bind with self keyword. So we will see self keyword also like self method, instance method. So it should be bind with self, but we are not binding. So simply we will write here pass. So what will happen? Roll number will automatically create it because object have the capability to access the roll number. Okay, and object have the capability to access the name. So name will created and the value Ramu will assign to the name by default. So if I run this code this time, if I run this code this time, so what will happen? Now the output is coming. Okay, NK and 101. This is because of this student object. Because of which object? This object student object. Okay, this is the student one have 101 roll number and NK is the name. And second object is what? Second object is Ramu. Okay, so second object is Ramu. Both object Ramu and student one belongs to same class, student class and student class. Okay, so we have roll number. We can access roll number through object Ramu dot roll number, and same time we are assigning value. So what will happen? Property will create and value will assign. Okay, here we are accessing name. So what's the name value? Ramu. What's the roll number value? Roll number 106. So it is printing name and 106. Correct? All right. Okay, see this. Okay, constructor method or constructor. If you have the confusion till now, so after completing this constructor method, you don't have any confusion. Okay, you will resolve your doubt after reading this. You can resolve your doubts. Okay, so constructor method or constructor. Constructor is a special method or magic method. Okay, whatever method start with underscore underscore. Okay, whatever methods start with underscore underscore and end with underscore underscore known as which method? known as magic method. Okay, magic method or instance method. Okay, constructor is a special method or magic method, or we can say instance method. Instance method means object level method, which is executed automatically. Okay, which is what constructor, or we can say magic method, or we can say instance method. Constructor is also a instance method. So execute automatically whenever object of that class is created. Object is created. Whenever you will create the object of the class, constructor automatically will call. Okay, here see, here our class is student. Okay, and here we are creating object of which class? Student class. So the moment you will create the object, the moment you will create the object, automatically constructor method will call. Automatically constructor method or magic method will call. Remember, okay, remember this definition, everyone. Constructor is used for initialization of object, or we can say define properties of object, or create instance variables. Okay, create instance variable. For example, okay, for example, let's see. Okay, for example, if you are writing here like roll number, roll number, and in second line you are writing what? Name. So what will happen? What will happen? Error will come. Why error is coming? Because without constructor you cannot create property of the class. What is the property? Roll number is the property of the class. Name is the property of the class. So in order to create the property of the class, and creating property is known as instantiation. Okay. So without constructor you cannot create the property of the class. That's why we need a constructor. Okay. So see here what is written here. Constructor is used to initialize of object or define the properties of object, create instance variables, or we can say create instance variable. Instance variable means the variables which belongs to the object, or we can say which belongs to the class. Block of code which has to execute automatically on creation of object is written inside the constructor. Okay, block of code which has to execute automatically. So constructor is also a block of code which execute automatically. Okay, I said already, whatever the function written by underscore underscore and starting with underscore underscore and ending with underscore underscore, known as magic method, and all the magic method execute automatically. Okay, so constructor is also a type of magic method which execute automatically to creation of object. Whenever you create the object, your constructor will call automatically. Why? Because constructor is a magic method. Object is written inside the constructor. Object is written. Okay, creation of object is written inside the constructor. Okay, we will see how we can create the constructor as well. Constructor is defined. Okay, we can define the constructor in two ways: with parameters and without parameters. Without parameters we can create the constructor, and with parameters we can create the constructors. Okay, we already discussed about the parameters, like what are the different types of parameters. We already seen like required parameter. Okay, variable length parameter, default parameter, keyword argument, or keyword parameters, like that we already discussed, and we will use here in the constructor as well. See, what is the syntax of the constructor? Underscore underscore init underscore underscore. So this is what? This is a magic method by starting with underscore underscore. Is name of the constructor method. This is the name of constructor method. Okay, remember everyone. This is the name of constructor method. And what is the syntax? See here. We will write def, because constructor is a magic method. So whatever method we will write, we use def keyword. Then the constructor name we have. Then self. Okay, first parameter, any methods, any instance method we will create inside the class, the first parameter should be self. Okay, after that, after self you can write n number of parameters. Okay, n number of parameters you can write. Okay, so after this you can write statement 1 and statement 2. Okay, see here, for example, let's say we create a class. Okay, we create the class name is student. Class name is what? Student. Okay, then we will write a constructor def keyword. If it is starting with underscore underscore, means this is what? Magic method, and all the magic methods execute automatically. So whenever you will write instance method, whenever you will write instance method, because constructor is also an instance method. So how you will recognize whether it is instance method or not? The first parameter of the instance method is self. Self is a first parameter. Self is what? First parameter of any instance method. Okay, then we will write colon, because this is a block. So we will write colon. Then we will write a statement print student object is created. Student object is created. This message will display. The moment we will create the student object, the moment we will create the student object, automatically this method will call. We don't need to call this method explicitly. Okay. Manually, we don't need to call this method. This will call automatically, because this is what a magic method, or we can say constructor. Constructor call automatically the moment you create object of the class. So how we can create the objects? First, we need to write the class name. What's the class name? Student is a class name. After that, we will write parenthesis. So object is created of the class. This is how you can create the object. And this object you can assign to any variable, like s1 you can say in s1 variable. But it doesn't mean like you will write s1 then only object is created. Object is already created. The moment you write student class name in parenthesis, object is created. Okay, when I run this code, so what will happen? If I run this code, so what is printing? Student object is created. Student object is created. Okay, we don't need to call which function. Okay, so we don't need to call this init method, because this message is inside the init method. We are not calling init method. We are just calling, just we are creating student object. How we can create the student object? Just we will write student name, okay, class name, then parenthesis. And if you want to assign this reference of this address to any variable, so you can assign also like this. So now you will run. So okay, okay. Now if you, what will happen? If you will run this time, so it will print the same message. Okay, same message it is printing. Okay, so the moment you create object, this method will call automatically. Okay, so we can write this or we can remove this, but object will create it automatically. Correct or not? Okay. So for example, let's see. One time creating object, I'm creating object one time. So we can create n number of object of this class, like student, okay, student, okay, and student. So how many objects are we are creating? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 objects we are creating. So 5 times this constructor will call. Okay, the moment you will create the object, the constructor will call. So here we are creating object, and in second line we are creating object, and in third line, so 5 times we are creating object. So this message print should be print 5 times. Okay, this message print 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 times this will print, and we can assign this object, this reference of the object. Okay, we can assign the address of this object in a variable, like s1 equals to this one, okay, s2 equals to this one, s3 equals to, okay, s4. These are what? Object. S1, s2, s3, s4, and s5 is what? Object. Like this. I hope you are understanding. It is printing like this. Okay, okay. This is what? This is what? Constructor without parameter does not receive value at the time of creating object. See, constructor without parameter does not receive value at the creating object. So this is a constructor which do not have other parameter than self. It have only parameter which is self. Okay, it cannot receive the parameter at the runtime. Right, now see another example. So constructor without parameter. Constructor without parameter. So this is the example of constructor without parameter. So here we have student class, and okay, so inside the class we can we can initialize the variable. Okay, we can initialize the variable inside the class. Okay, so what's the class name? Class name is student, correct? And then we will write the constructor. First we will write def underscore underscore. init underscore underscore. Okay, now what we will write? We will write self. Okay, self dot roll number equals to 0. Self dot name equals to none. Okay, why 0? Because roll number should be integer type, that's why I'm giving 0 here, and this should be string type, that's why I'm giving here none. Okay, self dot course equals to none, right? And we will create the object of which class? Student class, like student. So this is how student object is created. Now we will assign this object in a variable like student1. Okay, so now we can say student1 is object of which class? Student class. Student1 is the object of which class? Student class. Okay, and we have student2, student2 also. So student2 also object of which class? Student class. Okay, we have two objects of which class? Student class. First is student1, second one is student2. Okay, so if it is a student, if it is the object of student class, then it can access roll number, name, and course. Roll number, name, and course. Okay, and we can write here a message like print executed automatically. Executed automatically, right? So if I run this code, so what will happen? Okay, in order to run okay, what happening here? In order to run this code, what is the error? Everyone, please try to figure out what is the error. Okay, whenever we will create constructor method or magic method or instance method of the class, we will give self parameter first. Self. Okay, every instance method of the class bind with self keyword. Now error will not come. If I run this code this time, so error will not come. Okay, executed automatically and executed automatically. Why? Because we are creating object how many times? 2 times. That's why this message is printing 2 times. Okay, right? And we can print the value as well. What's the value? So we can print the value as well, like print what? Roll number. How we can access this roll number? How we can access this roll number? Simply we will write student1 dot roll number, student1 dot roll number, student1 dot name, student1 dot course. Okay, student1 dot. Okay, done. Only course, till course we have variables, and in second print we will write student2 related things, student2 roll number. Okay, student2 dot name. Okay, student2 dot course. Okay, so we don't have any value inside what? Roll number, name, and course. So it will display what? It will display. It will display what? It will display these values: 0, none, and none. Okay, so if I run this code, so it is first object is created, two object is created, so that's why it's printing which message? Executed automatically. Now it is printing this: roll number is 0, name is none, and course is none. 0, none, and none, and same for the second line, second object. Okay, right, everyone? Okay, okay, suppose we have a class. What is the class name? Date. Okay, remember everyone, like why we create class, why we are learning object oriented programming? We are learning object oriented programming so that we can create user defined data types, or we can say so that we can create a new data type. So date is what? Date is a user defined data type, or we can say date is a class name, and def, and this is the constructor because starting with underscore underscore, and it will call automatically. It will call automatically. Okay, so if it is a constructor, or we can say instance method, so first parameter is what? Self. Then we have default parameter d equals to 0, m equals to 0, y equals to 0. D means date, m means month, y for years. The self dot dd equals to d. Okay, and self dot equals to n. Okay, this is coming from here. Okay, and this is coming from here, and this is y is coming from here. So self dot yy equals to y. Okay, and we will create the object. We will create the object of which class? Date class. Okay, date class. So what is the object name? D1. So with the help of D1, with the help of which object? D1 object, we can access this dd, and yy. So d dot dd, d dot d dot yy. Okay, inside the date, whenever we create the date object, we will create whenever we create the date object, if we will pass the value. So this 0 replaced with 6, and this 1 replaced by 1, and this year replaced by 2024. Here we are not passing any parameter while creating the object. So whenever this method will call, automatically all the values become 0, 0, 0, because default value is 0. If you will pass the values like here, so it will convert into 6, 1 and 2024. So if you will display here, so 0, 0 will display. If we will display here, so this date will display, because we are passing how many parameters? 3 parameters. One is for date, second for is month, and third for year. Okay, like this would be the output. Everyone please try this code so that you can easily understand. This is a constructor with parameters. Constructor is executed one time. Okay, constructor is executed one time at the time of creating object. Whenever we create the object, constructor will call. Simply remember this. Then we have another class example. The class name is employee. Okay, inside the employee class, we have which function? Constructor. Constructor method we have, or we can say magic method we have. So if it is a magic method, it will call automatically. It will call automatically how many parameters it have? 1 and 2 and 3. So this is not equals to 0. So it's mean this is the required parameter. This is not the default parameter. Whenever you create the object, you need to pass what? You need to pass some argument. Then only you can create the object. Otherwise, you will not create the object. First, you have to fulfill the need of e number and e name and s salary. So this value, this e number will assign here, and this e name assign here, and this e salary, e and salary assign here, like this. Okay, then we have another function. What is the function name? Print employee. If it is a function inside the class, we can say this is a method. Which method? Instance method. Why instance method? Because it is bind with self. It is bind with self. That is why print employee method is a instance method of the class. This is the instance method of the class. Now we will say print. What we are doing? We are printing what data? What data? Students properties we are, sorry, employee properties we are printing. What are the employee properties? Employee number, employee name, and employee salary. Use inside which function? Print employee method. We are printing what? Employee name, employee number, employee name, and employee salary. Okay, here we are creating objects. The moment you will create the object of the class, you need to pass how many parameters? 3 parameters. Okay, then only you can create the object. Whenever this function will call, or this function automatically call when object is created, so it will require 3 parameters. That is why we are passing how many parameters? 3 parameters, 1, 2, and 3. 3 parameters we are passing. We are creating another object which is employee 2. This is the employee 1 first object. Employee 2 is the second object. So whenever you create the object, how many parameters you will pass? 3 parameters. 101 Suresh and 60,000 is a salary. Correct. And instead of printing like this, we will call the print function, print employee, because we already have the function. What is the name of the function? Print employee is the function name. So we will call print employee function. And for object to display the object two details, we will call print employee function. Okay, with the help of second object. So output would be like this. Okay, now we will see what's the difference between constructor method and normal instance method. Normal method and constructor method. So see, constructor instance method, normal instance method. Name of the constructor method is init. Okay, whenever you will write the constructor, so constructor method name is init underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Okay, name of the normal instance method is any name. Any normal instance method name, we can give any name, because instance method name based on the user choice. The constructor get executed automatically at the time of creating object. Constructor get executed automatically at the time of creating object. This method has to be this method has to be called explicitly. Explicitly means user will call this method. Which method? Instance method. Instance method will not call automatically. The constructor method, as constructor method is a magic method, because all the magic method call automatically, but instance method, okay, normal instance method is a user defined method which will not call automatically. What we will do in order to call the normal method, we will create the object, and with the help of object dot, like s1 dot s1 dot what s1 dot print, like print details, like we will call like this. So the purpose of constructor, method is object initialization. Okay, object initialization. With the help of constructor, we initialize the object, because the moment we create the object, constructor is executed. Purpose of this method setter. Okay, purpose of method setter and op getter operations. Okay, so the normal method purpose is to setter and getter operation. Like we can set the variables data, and we can perform the operations on the data. Correct. And constructor, see this class contains one constructor. Any class, for example, there is a class student class, so student class can contain only one constructor, but class contains any number of instance method. Class contains any number of instance method. Okay, but constructor should be only one constructor, and any number of instance methods can have. All right, now see everyone. Example, class constructor. Okay, what's the constructor name? Init. This will call automatically when object will create. Okay, so we are initializing the variables with the help of constructor, and we have a method, add method we have, and we are returning what? Num plus. Okay, self dot num1. Okay, this is the num1 and this is the num2. So we are adding this num1 and num2 and return to the add function. And subtraction function we have, and we have another class which is triangle, and inside the triangle we have init function, init method which is constructor method. So in a class we can have only one constructor method or init method. So we are initializing these values, and we have normal method which is find area method, and this will find the area and return the area. So now we are creating the object of which class? Calculator class. What's the name of our class? Calculator. Our class name is calculator. Okay, so we can call, so this is the object, so object dot add. Okay, object dot add, because add belongs to which class? Calculator class. See, here is the add belongs to calculator class, so we can call add, and we can call subtract, and it will return some data. So data is stored by result1 and result2, then we will print result1 and result2. Correct. Now we have triangle class. We are creating object of triangle class t1. Okay, we have another class, which one is triangle class we have, and in triangle class we have three two parameters, h, b, and h. So whenever we will call this create the object, we will pass the values, as these parameters are default. So if you will not pass the value, automatically this assigns 0, it will assign 0, right? So triangle will, so in order to find the triangle area, we will call which method? Find area method, and it will return the area. We will store area inside what? Area variable. Then we will print area of triangle is like this. Okay, so this is the output, area of triangle like this is the addition and subtraction, and then we have area of triangle. All right, so thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. In the next video we will learn more about constructor and other methods. Okay, or normal methods we will create more of programs. Okay, so thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. Okay, and keep practice everyone, keep practice, watch all the videos and keep practice, and write the code in the comment section so that I can analyze your code, I can see your code. And don't forget to smile. Okay, practice and keep smile, don't be depressed, don't be sad. Okay, just practice, just keep practice. All right, thank you everyone, bye once again, bye everyone.